everybody, and welcome to the weekly Scopes from the 9th of March to the 15th of March. Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's weekly Scopes. If you've heard this before, you can skip, but this is just the intro on how I, formulate these astrology weekly readings. I use astrology and my intuition to give you advice how you can practically use the knowledge of the stars and the planets and apply them to your life. So my weekly scopes are all based on GMT time and on Vedic Constellational Astrology. So now I'm just going to explain what Vedic Constellational Astrology is and how it differs from Western astrology. So the precession of the equinox is sort of like something that happens in astronomy and astrology, where the Earth's axis undergoes a slow circular motion over 26,000 years, and basically this means that this motion causes a shift in the position of the equinoxes and also the calculation Vedic and Western astrologies use. So around 2,000 years ago, the tropical and sidereal Vedic astrology signs of astrology were aligned in the same position. So if the sun was in Scorpio in Vedic astrology, it was also in the constellation of Scorpio in Western astrology. But because of the precession of the equinoxes, this has caused a gradual westward sort of like drift of the tropical Western signs. So basically these signs, the Western signs, shift 1 degree with every 72 years. So as a result of this ongoing shift, when Western astrology says the sun is in the constellation of Pisces, it's typically in the constellation of Aquarius. Still, this is because the degree, orb and the date for Western and Vedic astrology are 24 degrees, 24 days apart. So in Western astrology, the sun enters the constellation of Pisces around the 19th of February each year, but actually the sun doesn't arrive into the constellation of Pisces until the 13th to the 15th of March each year, and Vedic astrology takes this into account because it's based on the fixed star positions, and Vedic astrologers use sidereal calculations. So as a result, Vedic astrology takes into account the actual positions of the constellations in the sky at any given time, and also considers the precession of the equinox, adjusting for the shift in the position of the equinoxes over time. But in terms of Western astrology follows the tropical zodiac, which is based on the seasons rather than fixed star positions. Western astrologers also do not directly account for the precession of the equinox in their calculations as well, so this results in slightly different calculations and interpretations that are given whether we're using Western astrology or Vedic astrology. So yeah, as I said, Western astrology uses specific dates, so every year, regardless of where the sun actually is at the sky, the sun moves into Pisces around the 19th of February. So yeah, this discrepancy, this misalignment between the tropical zodiac and the actual positions of the constellations has led to a discrepancy between Vedic astrology and Western astrology. So I consider the actual where the sun and the moon are and where Mars and Venus are at any given time, and this is how I formulate these sort of like weekly scopes. So yeah, thanks for listening to this, and let's dive into this week's weekly scope. Okay, so now I'm just going to explain what parallels and contra-parallels are in astrology, because I use them in my chart interpretation. So declination in astrology is the measure of how far a celestial body is, such as the sun, whether it's either north or south of the celestial equator. And the celestial equator is an imaginary line in the sky above the Earth's equator, which us astrologers use in our interpretation. So parallels happen when two planets are on the same declination. Either both planets are on the north side side, or either both planets are on the south side, and this alignment increases the influence of the involved planets. So it's similar to a conjunction aspect, as it amplifies their energy, making the effects of the planets more pronounced. Contra-parallels, on the other hand, happen when two planets are on the same declination, but one is in the north and one is in the south. So this alignment creates tension, which is similar to an opposition aspect, and it can lead to conflict, challenges and inner struggles between the energies of the planets involved. So contra-parallels highlight areas of friction or contrast in our lives, urging us to find balance between the opposing forces at play. When transiting parallels and contra-parallels happen, they can sort of like trigger significant events, shifting consciousness and periods of intense growth and transformation. So I look at these aspects closely during chart analysis to understand how planetary energies interact and influence each other during a specific time frame, to pinpoint key periods for personal development, relationship dynamics or career shifts, and other shifts like karmic shifts and stuff like that. Because I just find using contra-parallels and parallels gives me more depth in interpretation, so I use them. So contra-parallels and parallels in astrology serve as markers for potential challenges or breakthroughs, guiding us towards more self-awareness, love, acceptance, understanding, forgiveness for ourselves and others, and shifts in consciousness and growth. So overall, just a shift in our mindset if we allow for it. So parallels and contra-parallels just kind of like provide valuable insights into the complexities and nuances of the astrological interactions between planetary movements. So yeah, that's the end of what contra-parallels and parallels are. So this week we've got a few aspects affecting us. We've got Mercury's contra-parallel to Saturn. This enters on the 6th of March, is exact on the 9th of March and leaves us on the 15th of March. And Mercury's in Pisces and Saturn's in Aquarius. Venus makes a semi-square to Uranus. This entered on the 8th of March, is exact on the 11th of March, and leaves us on the 13th of March, and Venus is in Pisces and Uranus is in Aries. Mercury makes a semi-square to Uranus. This entered on the 10th of March, is exact on the 12th of March, and leaves us on the 17th of March, and again, Mercury's in Pisces and Uranus is in Aries. So these aspects are flavouring the whole week. These are the main energies this week. So Mercury's contra-parallel to Saturn, which is the same as the opposition, right, allows us to focus on our communication, structure and routine. It can really increase our analytical skills and upgrade and improve our ability to express our thoughts more methodically. It's an excellent energy to use for disciplined thinking, making it an ideal energy for tackling complex, challenging problems, spending time on detailed planning, or studying subjects that require concentration. We can find ourselves naturally inclined to take on a more serious approach to our conversations, and this can lead to a more deeper, more meaningful exchanges. But negatively, it can manifest as feelings of mental rigidity, overthinking, where the weight of Saturn may stifle, get in the way of the fluidity, the openness of Mercury in Pisces, and we just can have miscommunications and misunderstandings this week because of this, and we can just be more pessimistic in our thoughts, and this can overshadow our, the Mercury energy that wants us to get more in tune with our intuition. So psychologically, this energy encourages us to examine the balance between intuition and logic. We can feel pulled between flowing ideas and strict reasoning, and this can lead to inner tension and confusion right now. Spiritually and esoterically, this aspect can symbolize the journey from dreams to reality. pushing you to ground your visions into achievable goals. You might find yourself contemplating your responsibility to communicate your ideals and how they align with societal structure and routines around us. So by embracing both aspects of this energy, the serious, intense, next level deep realizations that Saturn can bring about our personal philosophy and how we can bridge dreams with practical action, and that's what this energy, this contra-parallel is all about, the big dreams that Mercury and Pisces bring and the practical action that Saturn wants us to take. Venus's semi-square to Uranus brings an intriguing mix of excitement and unpredictability, so it allows us to have freedom right now. So it works really well with that Mercury and Pisces energy and encourages us to look into new ways, unconventional sort of like connections, relationships and artistic paths. It's energy where being spontaneous, getting outside of our comfort zone is favoured this week, allowing us to make way for new romantic experiences or fresh creative expressions, and this can just feel liberating. But negatively, it can lead to us being restless and impulsive this week, making mistakes in our work or family commitments, and this energy can add to the conflicts and disappointments in relationships that can come up. We can find ourselves more drawn to distractions or feeling at odds with commitments, and that can seem too confining, and this can lead to emotional turbulence. Psychologically, it asks us to examine our attachments and our need for independence, and we can just feel torn between the comfort of familiarity and the allure of novelty, and this can lead to us, reassessing about what truly makes us happy, what brings us joy and helps us to feel satisfied, and we may make some changes to our relationships, our routine, Spiritually, it wants us to totally own our intuitive side while taking bold, courageous, unconventional steps towards self-expression right now. Esoterically, this aspect encourages us to break free from outdated beliefs and honour our inner truth, and this can lead to us having some deep personal growth and a deeper understanding of our value system. So this energy invites us to mix the idealistic vision of Venus in Pisces, and we've got Mercury there too, and Venus is Venus is in retrograde at the moment as well, so this can be more inward for some of you. So it's ultimately wanting us to develop a more authentic sense of self that celebrates both love and liberation. And additionally, Mercury semi-square to Uranus allows us to, we can really have increased mental activity, thinking, and it adds to the unexpected insights that can come to us this week. It again allows for breakthroughs in our communication and thought, adds to us being able to think originally and allowing us to allow our minds to flow more freely, and our intuition can really lead us to innovative solutions to our problems. And it just is a great energy to brainstorm and to be open to new approaches in our creative and intellectual projects right now. But again, it adds to the restlessness in our thinking and scattered thoughts and miscommunications that can come up this week, because our inner rebels can want to rebel against routine and authority and make hasty decisions and have arguments because we're not being mindful. So just watch out for that. Try and be mindful, assert your boundaries, but respect others. Psychologically, it encourages us to reflect on how we process information and think about our relationship with change, because sometimes we just spend our lives in our comfort zone, being too afraid to try new things, right? So this energy supports us in thinking outside of the box. It motivates us to confront lingering fears that get in the way of our willingness to totally own new things. On a spiritual and esoteric level, it wants us to tap into our subconscious, and it motivates us to act on our intuitive feelings and mix our imagination with action right now. And it's an energy to help us release outdated patterns and own a more authentic expression of ourselves as we realign our thoughts with our higher aspirations right now. So content creators can use this week energy, especially Mercury contra-parallels to Saturn, to focus on themes of communication, discipline and structure and routine, talking about the importance of effective communication, looking at topics that require critical thinking, maybe content about how we can improve our critical thinking and analytical skills, focusing on content that is about personal development, goal setting and the importance of boundaries and personal and professional relationships, because it is important to set boundaries, you know. Using Venus's semi-square to Uranus to talk about how we can deal with restlessness, how we can deal with, you know, the issues that come up in love and other relationships. Content that focuses on our personal values, how we can explore them and get firm in our own beliefs, and how we can explore and manage the tension between finding stability and, you know, the need for freedom as well, how we can become more productive in our relationships as well. We can just think about this as individuals as well. It invites content creators to explore new techniques and experiment with new styles as well, and really think about, you know, creating content that spends time and, you know, narratives and personal stories that speak to both our heart and minds, and this can help us connect deeper with our audiences, you know. So on the 9th of March, the moon enters void of course at 7:41 a.m. The moon then enters Cancer at 12:16 p.m. and then Mercury's contra-parallel is exact at 8:33 p.m. and I talked about this already. So the moon in Cancer for the next couple of days allows us to be more nurturing and emotionally sensitive. It invites us to connect with our innermost feelings, and it emphasises the importance of home, family and emotional security. It adds to the intuition that, you know, Mercury in Pisces is bringing, and Venus as well. So it allows us to look into our emotional world and confront, address any unresolved issues that come up, you know. We may find ourselves craving more comfort and familiarity right now. It pushes us to create a safe space for self-care and reflection, but it's essential to be mindful of potential mood swings, and it can just increase our sensitivities that come with this lunar transition, and it can be a favourable time for nurturing our relationships, and we just have to be cautious of becoming overly defensive or withdrawn, you know. And it just reminds us to vibe with and totally own the opportunities for emotional connection this week, and be open to support from our loved ones. It wants us to spend time on activities that develop a sense of belonging, such as cooking family meals or revisiting cherished traditions, and this can help us channel the Cancer energy more positively this week, and just allow it to make us bring harmony back into our environment and allow ourselves to be open to the nurturing that this brings to ourselves, and we can nurture others around us. On the 10th of March there's a gibbous moon at 8:20 a.m. and then the moon enters void of course at 11:46 while still in Cancer. So the gibbous moon phase, which lasts for the next 3 to 4 or 5 days, allows us to really focus on growth. We can feel an increased sense of motivation and clarity regarding our goals. It allows us to reflect on our progress and make necessary changes that align with our aspirations. It's an ideal time to plan and strategize as our intuition and insights are sharpened. We can feel more connected to our inner self. This motivates us to evaluate what truly matters to us and how we can manifest our desires into reality. And while the gibberish moon promotes optimism and forward thinking, it allows us to stay grounded and avoid becoming overly ambitious or unrealistic in our expectations. But it also adds to the restlessness of this week. So it's beneficial to practice patience and totally own the journey right now, rather than just focusing on the end result. Use this time to develop gratitude for what you have accomplished so far and to celebrate the small victories along the way, and balance your aspirations with a sense of commitment, and this will help you navigate this lunar energy more effectively. On the 11th of March, the Sun makes a semi-sextile to Chiron, Venus makes its exact semi-square to Uranus at 1:43 p.m, and I talked about this earlier this week. The Moon enters Leo at 8:46 p.m, and Mercury makes a conjunction to Venus. So Mercury's conjunction to Venus happens when both Venus and Mercury are in Pisces. The Sun's semi-sextile to Chiron happens when the Sun's in Aquarius and Chiron's in Pisces. So the Sun's semi-sextile to Chiron allows us to confront past wounds with newfound understanding, developing personal growth, and we can just find ourselves more attuned to our emotional world, and it allows ourselves to communicate our feelings more clearly and encourages us to totally own our vulnerability, and this can lead to a deeper connections with others and a greater acceptance of ourselves. Mercury's conjunction to Venus allows us to improve our ability to express our affection and share our ideas with others in a harmonious, balanced way. It's a great energy that allows us to work on our creative plans and to harmonise differences in communications. So it just allows us to sort out conflicts and arguments that may have come up this week or other weeks, It's a good energy to resolve conflict. On the 12th of March, Mercury's semi-square to Uranus is exact at 8:25. I talked about this at the beginning of this week. The Sun makes a conjunction to Saturn at 10:29 today, and this happens when the Sun's in Aquarius and Saturn's there too. So the Sun's conjunction to Saturn allows us to be more disciplined, be more responsible, take on personal accountability, gives us a stronger sense of purpose this week, making it an ideal energy to set long-term goals and improve our professional standing. But it can also bring up feelings of restriction and self-doubt, and this can lead to critical inner chatter and banter. The best use of this transit is to focus on practical achievements while remaining mindful of emotional challenges, and to spend time in structured routines such as strategic planning, thinking, skill development, and this can maximise the benefits of this transit. So on the 13th of March there's nothing to report. On the 14th of March, yay, there's a full moon lunar eclipse that happens in Leo and that happens in Leo and Virgo. I've done a whole separate audio on this and I really delved deep, so you can go and check that out. So this lunar eclipse is weird because it's exact at 6:55, but the moon also enters void of course at 6:55. Then the moon enters Virgo at 7:27, so it's only void of course for half an hour or so. The Sun makes a sextile to Uranus at 9:17 a.m. and then the Sun enters Pisces at 1:21 p.m. and I've made a separate audio about this. And the moon's north node happens at 1:48 p.m. as well. So the sun sextile to Uranus happens when the sun's in Aquarius, but as I said, it's moving into Pisces, and Uranus is Aquarius. So the lunar eclipse in Leo brings a wave of intuition and emotional awareness. It allows us to confront hidden feelings and release what no longer serves us. It's a powerful energy for personal transformation. The void, of course, allows us to really just take some time out to think, but it can add to the uncertainty and restlessness of this week. And we can use this energy to be constructive and focus on our inner reflection, meditation and creative plans. And as the moon goes into Virgo, it's an ideal energy to organise our thoughts, set goals and integrate the emotional insights gained during the eclipse, allowing us to manifest our visions into reality with clarity and precision. And the sun sextile to Uranus allows us to really brainstorm, and it helps us to start new things as well, but we have to be mindful of potential disruptions and unexpected development in our plans. The sun entering Pisces allows us to be more creative and helps us with our spiritual projects, helps us to tap into our intuition and imagination, and just allows us to develop a deeper sense of empathy and connection for others, but it can also increase our sensitivity to external energies. And the moon's north node going direct can just help us align with our higher purpose and destiny, and invites us to reflect on our personal growth journey, setting intentions and aligning with our true selves. And we just have to recognise that both the challenges and opportunities presented by these transits allow us to have greater awareness and intention right now. On the 15th of March, Mercury goes retrograde at 6:46. I've done a whole separate audio about this, but it allows us, communication can be more challenging, but if you've got Mercury retrograde in your birth chart, you probably won't feel this as much. But when Mercury's direct for most of the year, that's when it's like retrograde for you, and I have Mercury retrograde in my chart, so when Mercury's retrograde, misunderstandings and delays can be more frequent. We need to be more patient and flexible. It allows us for self-reflection. It's a more inward, it wants our communication to go more inward, for us to think before we speak, and it's an ideal time for us to review past decisions and reconnect with old friends and family and revisit unfinished projects. And we may feel motivated to reflect on our thoughts and ideas, and this can lead to potential breakthroughs when we revisit old ideas, old experiences, especially issues to do with the ways we may feel inadequate about our skills or our thought and thinking patterns, thought and thinking same things. So this is a time to think about how you can learn new skills and become a better communicator as well. And it wants us to be more mindful in our communication, taking care and expressing our thoughts, as miscommunication can be more likely, and there's already aspects adding to this week. So Mercury's going to be retrograde for about 3 weeks in Pisces, and this just allows us for personal growth, allows us to be more self-aware and understand our own motivations. Use this time to reassess your goals and refine your strategies, and allow room for change that aligns better with your evolving perspective, and just own the reflective energy of this period with more clarity and purpose. So that's the end of this week's weekly scopes. I'm Amani, your holistic karmic astrologer. Take care and see you next week.